Cummins, Colton Pankwich, Justin Stejak, and also Kayla Cerner. Welcome back to the show. Been a minute. Thank you guys for joining us. We wanted to just say that if you like what we do around here, why don't you check out our website? It's buffalosportsinsider.com. Follow, subscribe to all of our social medias so you too can stay up to date on everything sports, everything Buffalo. We are always taking questions in the chat as well, by the way. So if you have anything you want to throw out at us, put it in the chat wherever you're watching from, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know what's going on, and we will do our best to answer it. Before we do go into any sports today, we want to take time to remember and honor the victims and first responders, including police, firemen, and Port Authority that passed away on September 11th, 2001. Again, big day in our history, and we want to, again, honor those people. I know you can speak a little bit about it, Deshaun, as you grew up in that area.
Being from New York City, I was able to go and see where those towers actually got took down in Manhattan. So if you guys ever get the chance to go visit the memorial and pay your respects to those people that were able to first respond and passed away, go ahead and do what you got to do.
Absolutely. So we want to hop in first to our UB football game that was a tight one that ended up in a UB loss to the Fordham Rams. Kayla, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so consistency is key, and the Bulls lacked that on Saturday. This is their second time falling to an FCS opponent, and their second time starting 0-2 under head coach Maurice Linguist. The Bulls started off really strong, though. Their first two possessions, they jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Mike Walker, Alex McNulty made both kicks to give them the lead. Then Fordham responded with a field goal before Snyder found graduate student wide receiver Daryl Harding Jr. for a 15-yard touchdown. The Bulls then led 21-3, but then the Rams were able to make a comeback, scoring 17 points to cut the deficit to 1 at halftime.
Yeah, and a tough. This is just at halftime, but really tough. Remind me about the ejection that did happen during that game as well.
So that was right at the start of the third quarter. It was Grant. He made a pretty filthy hit. I'm not gonna lie. It was very obvious that the runner was sliding to call the play, and he went full force. So he was ejected, but he looked really strong while he was in the game. He had 8 tackles for UB. 7 of those were solo. Yeah, no, very late. I said a good game from both sides, but that missed kick at the end, a tough one. Had the distance as well.
Let's not forget about that penalty that also tied into the game as well.
Which, honestly, I really don't think there should have been a flag thrown on that. It did not look like pass interference from where I was sitting, but I'm not the ref, so
fair enough.
Not my call to make.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, now UB playing who next?
Liberty
University, who was 2-0. They went up against Bowling University and I believe New Mexico State. So that's the team that they're going to be trying to get a win against. That's 2-0 right now.
Yeah, interesting matchup, and make sure to stay tuned for Buffalo Sports Insiders. We will be covering that as well. I did want to get into some Bison's news, and Hunter had a chance to go out to Salem Field and report on that. So take a look at this video.
After having the team's 8-game win streak snapped by an 8-5 loss in 11 innings on Wednesday night to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the Buffalo Bisons are looking to start another stretch of extended victories here at Salem Field versus these Iron Pigs. This series versus the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs is of the utmost importance for the Bisons if they want to chase down this final International League playoff spot for the second half of the season. The Iron Pigs sit a game above the Bisons in the standings, and they're also tied with the Durham Bulls, so it makes for an extremely complicated situation here. With 5 games remaining in the series, the Bisons will have to return to the dominant brand of baseball that they played versus Indianapolis in the prior series if they want a chance to chase down this final playoff spot that they're battling with between Lehigh Valley and Durham. For Buffalo Sports Insider, I'm Hunter Lober Cummins. All right, well, as you may have heard in that video, the Bisons end up splitting the series with Lehigh Valley 3-3, and at the time, actually, we didn't know the full result of what the series would be. But yesterday, being Sunday, the Bisons did win to make sure that that series was a draw at 3-3. So what happens is that they came into the series a game behind Lehigh Valley, and that's exactly where they sit after, as no real advantage was gained. But the wins for the Herd were Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so what it also means is that there's still 3 games back of the remaining playoff spot currently occupied by the Durham Bulls, as of course in the International League. The spot being vied for now is the second half, as the season is split into 2 halves. So next up for the Bisons is starting tomorrow. They go to the affiliate of the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. Extremely important series if the team wants to gain any ground on both Lehigh Valley and Durham. We'll see what happens. Last away series for the Bisons, and then they'll finish up at home versus Norfolk. So crunch time here in September. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, maybe they can start up another win streak. That would be really fun. I know they were cut at 8. Kind of sucks, but let's see if they can start it up again. I'm excited. We did want to move into some news that we had reported on last week about Mike Williams. Incorrectly reported by multiple sources that he had passed away, but very great news to hear that he was in the ICU and that he is now breathing on his own. Just fantastic news.
Indeed.
Again. You can talk more about it.
I would say that it's very good to hear that, because we had a situation similar with DeMar Hamlin. So that's the one thing that I thought of automatically. Someone could have potentially passed away, and now they're back in life. So that's the one thing that I pulled away from that. We're happy for the Williams family.
Yeah,
I'd like to mention, too, that it was reported that a friend of his actually came into the hospital and played some highlights for Mike Williams in his playing days, and it actually was able to have Williams was able to smile during that. So it was really nice to hear that something as simple as that in these trying times that really put a smile also on my face too.
Absolutely, and just wishing him a very quick recovery. But again, bottom line, super excited that he is doing great. So we did want to move into some AFC East news that was happening yesterday, as I'm sure many football fans like myself were sitting in front of that TV for the entire day.
What did Scott Hansen say? 7 hours commercial-free football?
Something
That's
like
where
that.
I was.
Exactly. Exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about how the AFC East fared against their opponents. The Dolphins did play against the Chargers, Pats against the Eagles. Justin, tell me a little bit more about it.
I was really impressed actually by both teams. Pats ended up losing to the Eagles, but still, they put a great fight up against a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And I kind of expected the Pats to be like a bottom 5 team this year, considering the roster, but they made some coaching adjustments over the offseason. Bill O'Brien comes in as the offensive coordinator. Mac Jones looks a hell of a lot better now. It still needs to go without saying that they don't have an alpha weapon still. They have Juju and Hunter Henry and Gesicki.
I mean, and they gave away Jacoby Myers to the Raiders. Exactly. That was kind of their top guy. So.
Exactly, and he's really only like a wide receiver 2. He's not going to be a wide receiver 1 for any team, but he played a serviceable role for the Patriots last year. But and you see, Ramondre Stevenson came into the game sick actually, so he and Ezekiel Elliott almost got like a 50-50 workload. They played well and they played disciplined football, and they fell just short to the Eagles, who everyone knows is one of the best teams in football.
Well, they actually might have came away with it. I think it was like 4th and 13 or something on the last drive, coming back down a touchdown would have won it, and they hit their rookie Booty or Booty.
Okay, Sean, that was it.
Booty or Booty.
Yeah.
So on the money, it's gonna be the second foot down, and the game ends, but.
That was the second time that happened.
Yeah, Mac Jones threw for 316 yards, 3 touchdowns. Held Jalen Hurts, who was top 3 in MVP voting last year, to 170 yards and a QB rating of 36.4.
He didn't look good. Jalen Hurts did not look good.
He did not.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Dolphins too, because I think there's some big points to be brought up all this offseason talk.
Yes.
With Ricky.
So there's been a lot of excitement about the New York Jets, right? But I have believed that the Miami Dolphins have posed the biggest threat to the Bills the entire offseason. They were a team that was already established last year, and they add to the team. Mind, they don't even have Jalen Ramsey against the Chargers, and they go in an absolute shootout with a team that many think will be among the AFC's best. And it's notable to say that Tyreek Hill is an absolute alien. I mean, the trade that they pulled off for that guy was going to work in a long run. It really changed the trajectory of Tua's career. They bring in Jalen Waddle to ease off some pressure, but even that, Tua goes for what, 450, 460 something.
466.
Yeah, I was saying,
touchdowns. Has anyone ever made 466 look as easy as Tua does?
Well, it's easy when you have Tyreek Hill down there in the end zone. So,
well, Tyreek did come with 215 yards and 2 of the touchdowns.
I believe he led all of Sunday.
Tyreek fantasy.
I have him in our fantasy league, but I think the biggest takeaway, I don't want to overreact too much, is that the Dolphins' offense in general is super high highs. Nobody, I don't know many quarterbacks throw for 466. But some pretty low lows. And I'm not going to get into injuries because injuries are inevitable. But if that team stays healthy, I think they are the biggest threat to the Bills in the AFC.
I think I can attest to the fantasy aspect of things. I felt the brunt of the worst. Tyreek Hill's really outstanding performance, 44.5 points total. I don't know how that stacks up against highest totals or maybe opening week totals, but what a performance there from the speedster number 10.
One thing I want to note about your point where there could be some really low lows, I think that's going to be dictated by the Miami offensive line. I really expected them to struggle come week 1, and they didn't even have Teron Armstead on the field. And that unit blocked tremendously against Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, guys who are disruptors, well known in the league. And he came away unscathed. 466 yards later, we really have a narrative building.
Yeah, I think both sides of the ball, in terms of offense and defense, looked good.
Brandon Staley is the head coach of the Chargers, and he's done not the greatest job of managing both team time and I wouldn't say too many of the wins over the past couple of years have been because of Brandon Staley for the Chargers. So I'm intrigued to see week 2 Dolphins versus Patriots.
There's a whole lot more to football than analytics.
That is very true. Very true. I mean, speaking of the AFC East, there's 2 teams that we have not talked about yet. The Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets happening tonight. Oh my goodness. Football's back. It is back, and the most anticipated game of the week happening tonight. I mean, talk to me a little bit about it, because I think, again, people don't realize the matchups that we're about to see tonight. You have these teams doing a lot of work in the offseason. Obviously, the Jets signing Aaron Rodgers to their team. Big point there.
Also partaking in Hard Knocks that you could watch on HBO. So
all right.
That's kind of like what I was getting into. Like, we've been able to see how that Jets team has been meshing together, and how much even Robert Saleh himself looks up to Aaron Rodgers, but knows that Aaron Rodgers is still a player, so there's room for him to learn. He sees him as a student and a leader of this team at the same time.
Exactly.
Which is going to be a scary thing to put up against this Bills team, and I'm not really sure how I feel about the contest tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, great point. I do want to talk about it, Justin. I mean, like, these the matchups that we're seeing. I mean, like, who's on both sides of the ball here?
I mean, yeah, we've noted this is not a Mickey Mouse opponent Jets team anymore. Okay? This is
Absolutely not.
A really good roster, okay? And the big one that everyone's going to have their eyes on is obviously Stephon Diggs versus Sauce Gardner. 2 of the best top 3 in their position. You can argue that Sauce is 1. I would not be mad to hear that. But I mean,
okay, we see against Devontae Adams. You can go back though.
No, but that I think that matchup's going to dictate a lot of how the game goes, and then kind of to branch off of that as well. If Sauce does end up getting better, Stephon Diggs, you really need to shift your focus to Gabe Davis versus DJ Reed, another class of guys who are also very good at their craft. Well, I mean, we see DJ Reed; he almost made the Pro Bowl last year, but he just missed it with a snub. But Gabe Davis is coming back off of a bounce-back season. It can be really, really interesting to see how he performs week 1, and he'll let Bills fans know what he's in store for the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Sauce actually more on Gabe Davis and the defense shade the rest of the side towards Diggs and Kincaid. I want to talk, though, kind of flip back to last year. They split the series 1-1, and the Jets controlled the tempo and the line of scrimmage. So I want to talk about interior line versus
please.
Yeah, I think this is the best offensive line, and majorly because of the interior offensive line. McGovern, Torrance, and of course Mitch Morse. I think that's the best unit they've had under Josh Allen. And as far
we
as
talked about that a lot. Yeah, we were. I think it was last week that we said name a better offensive line. I mean, the past number of years, and especially again adding on Ryan Vandermark, Alec Anderson. And obviously Osiris Torrance is probably the biggest name to come out of that O-line right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think if they can keep Quinn Williams at the line of scrimmage. I think
Yes.
the Jets had like 8 or 9 QB hits not the last time they played, but in the loss that Bills suffered to them. I think if they can control that and keep Quinn Williams and interior defenders out of Josh Allen's face, I'm not saying blowouts. I'm not predicting the score yet, but I think the Bills can control the game.
Yeah, keep in mind that Jets defensive line is deep, and they have a lot of guys who can go outside in and inside out. Like John Franklin Myers, he's going to move inside, he's going to move outside, he's going to move all across. Will McDonald, they drafted in the first round, he's going to be stand up outside, really giving after, which that'll be a big testament to see how the tackles perform against some speed rushers.
Yeah.
We know they struggle notoriously against the speed rushers. But even a guy like Solomon Thomas, a high draft pick a while ago, moves into the Jets later on in his career. He can get after the quarterback. So it'll be really interesting to see how this offensive line really protects Josh Allen, because that's going to really dictate this game.
I know your last point on the list that we wanted to talk about in terms of matchups was Aaron Rodgers versus our safeties, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. All of these guys, veterans of, just of football in general. So tell me a little bit more about that.
All these guys have been tenured in the league for at least 8 to 9 years now, and especially Rodgers. He's going on for a while now. But, there's going to be
A little bit.
Really grandpa at this stage. There's going to be a lot of mind games going on tonight. A lot of look-offs, a lot of disguised coverages. So that's where I'll have my eyes on. Who will get the better of each side? Will Poyer and Hyde be able to really pick off Aaron Rodgers in a trick look? Or will Rodgers master this Bills defense and tear it apart?
Quickly, I wanted to bring up the matchup of the linebackers and linemen versus the outstanding on paper duo.
Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall. I think there's a lot. Got the work cut out for him. Guys like Milano. We'll see what someone like Terrell Bernard in a starting debut possibly, at least to open the season, how they can contain those power rushers.
So last year, actually, when the Jets beat the Bills, Terrell Bernard had his only career start, but he was filling in for Matt Milano.
Mhm.
So now he's flipped over to Mike, and I'm intrigued to see with a little bit more power what he's going to do.
Sure.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, no, I really, like I said, I think those are some really good matchups to bring up. Not only that, I did want to talk about, as Bill fans, I think everybody's wondering at home, how are we going to win? Because we definitely.
How the Bills win.
Exactly. Oh, well, we all know it. You tell me.
Give
You
one
tell
more.
me.
Diggs ends the night with 3 touchdowns and 157 yards.
And 20 yards and 20 touchdowns in the season.
I
Yeah.
go through a table if that happens.
I went to bed last night in one of my fantasy leagues down 70 points. I had the Cowboys defense and Stephon Diggs.
I woke up and a Stephon Diggs 30 bomb inbound. I would be the happiest man alive.
Well, all he has to do is score 3 touchdowns tonight, my guy.
All he has to do.
All he has to do. It's pretty simple, Josh Allen. Just throw that ball down there to 14.
Well, I'm happy that you brought up Josh Allen because there's no way Steph gets all these touchdowns if the Bills don't protect Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like, again, this is when you're going up against guys like Quinn and Williams, like you have to make sure that Josh is protected. Like this is one of the, I think, the biggest keys to the game.
So sorry to cut you off, but do we make it the case where is it Josh has to be protected, or does Josh have to make the right decisions between scrambling and throwing the ball?
That's a good point.
A combo of both.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more. Tell me a little more.
I think Josh is too quick to choose to run himself.
Mhm.
I think better protection obviously gives
Mhm.
better time for him to read and see how the play is going to develop. I do think he should focus more on the air attack, though.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most poised Josh Allen we've seen, which could be a really, really dangerous thing.
Yeah.
To have that confidence in your offensive line to where you're not a run first guy. I don't think protect just means, don't let anyone get to Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bills run a lot of QB powers and options where Josh Allen's out there. And on a 3rd and 2 with the game on the line, that's one thing. I don't want to see those on 1st and 2nd down,
Yeah.
1st, 2nd and long, and Josh Allen getting his body up. I think that's why you bring in a guy like Damian Harris as a downhill runner, and I'd like to see them utilize it a bit more to save Josh Allen in his career.
We've heard him talk about it recently in interviews all across the offseason. He knows he has to start protecting himself more because the NFL is a league that will punish you, and you can't keep taking these hits that he does take. We heard yesterday Trevor Lawrence tell
I was just about to bring it up. Yeah.
You got to stop taking these hits, and we've seen Josh Allen take some gnarly hits. So it will be key. The Bills' offensive line will have to dot their I's and cross their T's because one mistake and these guys will get after you.
Yeah. Tell me about the next one you're listing. Yeah.
Yeah, we got. Unlike Bills' past, we need to keep the Jets really honest with the run game. We
Yes.
saw it last year with multiple opponents, including the Jets. The teams are dropping 8-9 DBs back because they are not worried about the box. There's no reason to have linebackers press against the defensive line. I mean, there was no threat of a run game. And I think that does change now with the threat of James Cook really taking the bigger workload. Maybe Damien Harris gets 10 carries. I don't know. I really doubt it. But, I mean, you have a real home run threat with James Cook. We've talked about that. And I think if you do open that opening drive up with maybe some runs scripted in, that allows you to open up the passing game, and not only the passing game, but the play action game as well.
Yeah, defensively, I'm intrigued to see how aggressive the Bills are.
Yeah.
Under Sean McDermott versus cover 2. Like,
Yeah,
Leslie
let's talk a little bit more about that.
Just
Yeah.
because the last time when the Jets did beat the Bills, the leading tacklers were DeMar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson, which means that you're sitting back on your heels and before anyone even gets touched, they're getting 6 or 7 yards. Because Jaquan Johnson was up in the box a bunch when he filled in last year, but I'm intrigued to see, being aggressive is almost being conservative with Terrell Bernard in there.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to make him sit back and kind of find his way on the field, that's a place that Terrell Edmonds struggled in. So I think if you're sending blitzers, you're sending pressure, that makes his life a bit easier. And I'd like to see them get more to the line of scrimmage, not be the last in terms of sending the house on early downs and seeing kind of what that does against both the rush and the pass.
Yeah. And our very last key to the game, Justin, let the people know.
Yeah, we got to get after Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and that does mean don't sit on your heels. I'm really hoping to see a change defense with McDermott at that home. We really need to send guys after Aaron because we know Aaron Rodgers he's like 40 years old. 40 years old now. He's really old. So we know the mobility. He never really had a mobile point to his game, but even more so now. He cannot. He's a statue in the pocket. So if you do create some pressure with some stunts or some disguised looks to send pressure, maybe set a safety or a line. I would like to see the safeties running more blitzes.
Too.
That would really make.
Well, I think Micah Hyde being back allows him to do that more with Jordan Poyer. It's different when you're sending Jordan Poyer, and all respect to Mark Hamlin, but you don't trust him one-on-one with sending a man deep, especially like a Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Whereas Micah Hyde, you absolutely can do that.
Yes.
They can trust each other, and they can disguise blitzes a lot easier inside either one.
Yep.
We'll see if we have a part 2 of one of those Rodgers sideways pictures like we had.
Hopefully it's from Ed Oliver putting him on the turf.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Last thing I want to do for this segment is final score predictions. We're going to go around the table, starting with the Sean. I want to hear your final score prediction.
So as I said, I'm very scared of how this game can go out tonight, but I do have the Bills coming out on top in a close game with the 27-24 victory.
Okay.
It is so difficult to go 6-0 in your division. And so because I try to keep things on the realer side, hate to let everyone down, let some people down, but I'm going to take that same score in favor of Gang Green. We'll see what transpires, and I would not be unhappy if my prediction was not true.
Yeah, I think last year the Jets kind of killed the Bills on the ground. I don't see that necessarily happening. I think Daquan Jones picked up a lot later in the season.
So I see things being a little faster pace, which means higher scoring. And I see a 31-24 Bills victory.
I'll take Buffalo in this matchup, even though I could absolutely see a scenario where the Jets come out on top.
Oh, yeah.
But especially with the possibility of rain tonight in New Jersey, I'm going to go Bills 24-17. Not too much of a shootout, but there will be some offense shown tonight.
I'm going to go 21-17 in favor of the Jets. Just the Bills have a history of not performing week 1 to their full capabilities. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I was kind of going to Sean's way where it's 27-24 for the Jets. Again, this weather, we've seen this offense struggle with the weather before.
Now, just to clear you up, you did say 27-24 for the Jets, or do you mean
the
for
Jets?
the Bills?
For the
So
Jets.
you
I
want
think
the Jets to win?
I don't want the Jets to win. I'll be very clear
So
about
you
that.
want
I
the
don't
Bills?
want the
Okay,
Jets
my
to win.
apologies.
And a local perspective.
Right. From
I was just understanding your 27-24 the wrong way. Okay.
Right. No, I think these are just two humongous defenses, and it's just going to be a ton of fun to watch either way. But again, this is don't expect an easy win for the Bills. Is all I'm saying. If they win, it will not be easy. If they lose, it will not be.
So where I'm at is that I think the Jets got a lot
Really excited. Again, the game's happening tonight.
Yes,
I mean, we've been waiting all year for this. Very excited. Thank you guys for joining us on Buffalo Sports Insider. If you'd like to see more content from us, visit us at buffalosportsinsider.com. Stay up to date on everything sports, everything Buffalo by following us on our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, liking our page on Facebook, subscribing to our YouTube. And a special thank you to BBA for letting us put this on every week as we do. We'll be live again this upcoming Wednesday to recap this game and also do a preview for the Raiders game coming up. Very exciting stuff. Bill season is back. We're back. I'm so happy about it. From Buffalo Sports Insider, this has been KJ, Justin, Deshaun, Hunter, Colton, and Kayla. Until next time, stay safe, be good to each other. Have a great week. Go Bills.
Let's go, Buffalo.